So I'd like to just introduce Bill Durland, who is the chair of our chapter, and he wants to talk to you today about a victory that we had on the Military Commissions Act.
I hope you're applauding our victory, which I haven't read here yet. I like Rachel's metaphor here that we're tentacles, and that would make the state office the octopus, and we don't want to think of you in that way. We have national, state, and then we have chapters, and I think this is probably the design in all the states, and we feel like all civil libertarians do, that we have some share of independence and represent Colorado Springs. So we're so glad that there's such a great turnout here from Colorado Springs and its environs for this very important event. And much of that goes to the work of Rachel Chaparro, and I'd like to give her some applause. Rachel is very young, but hardworking and efficient. I'm very old, and I've been trying to retire from the practice of law. The very first case I had was a habeas corpus case in 1961 that involved me to spend 6 weeks each day without a break, 42 days in 7 courts, after I filed the habeas corpus petition to have this person in justice released from his incarceration. So I have spent almost 50 years living with habeas corpus. In those days, it was a given. It was hard enough to do that, as I just illustrated, but it was a given and was uncontested until the last few years. And then Congress, as you know, in the Military Commissions Act of August 2006, struck habeas corpus out of use for people in the so-called war and terrorism, detained in Guantanamo Bay, in rendition, in secret places that we don't know about, in Navy brigs and other places in the United States. And the victory today is a victory for today, and I'll tell you procedurally why we have to keep our fingers crossed after this. But Ali al-Marri, a resident alien, was in the 4th Circuit Federal Court of Appeals. I've had several cases there. It's a very conservative court and very hard to get a ruling, as 2 out of 3 of the court judges ruled. And that ruling was that the Federal Military Commission doesn't strip Ali al-Marri, a legal U.S. resident, of his constitutional rights to challenge his accusers in court. It ruled the government must allow al-Marri to be released from military detention. Now what that means is that the Constitution takes precedence over the congressional law that was passed last year. And prior to that law being passed, you may remember in the Hampton case, there was a ruling that this was a constitutional right unless Congress ruled otherwise, and then they did. Now the courts are coming back in the form of this 2-1 decision and saying that we have a constitutional right that is inherent and exists prior to any congressional act taking it away. That's the good news. And as is described in the press release I'm reading from, has it as a landmark case. It will be a landmark case if that decision stands. The roadblocks are these. In each federal circuit court, you have a number of judges, and this case was judged by 3 out of the entire band of judges available in the 4th Circuit. So an attorney who loses can make a motion to have this case reheard in that court as soon as possible by all the attorneys, which gives me shivers, having been in the 4th Circuit court in Virginia and some of the decisions it's rendered in the past. But I'm hoping that civil liberties and civil rights is not something that is liberal or something that is conservative, but something that is American, and that conservatives in past American history were adamant about civil liberties and civil rights as much as people call liberals. and so I'm hoping these people in Virginia will stand up to that. After that, the case will or can go to the U.S. Supreme Court that has been breaking down on 5-4 decisions on very cases like this recently since Justice O'Connor left. Justice O'Connor was in the 2004 Hamdi case, which was the original ruling of the series of cases which said that U.S. citizens have these rights. The Hamdi case dealt with non-citizens, and then the Military Act was passed. Habeas corpus flew away. We've got it back today, and we're here to celebrate that and learn more about it, and thank you for coming.